All right, hi, welcome to the Fantasy Six Pack Network. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. We're going to be talking some Los Angeles Chargers football, and to do that, Eric Smith is joining us, the Chargers editorial director. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Joe. Doing good. In the middle of a long training camp, but we're grinding through it and excited to be here today.
Yeah, we are excited to have you. I want to thank you for coming on. Before we jump into the questions, though, just want to remind everybody, hit that subscribe button, that like button, leave those comments. We'd love to hear from you, and jump over to fantasysixpack.net, become an all access member. You got access to my award-winning rankings, the draft cheat sheet, the player projections, and during the season, DFS and betting, and a whole lot more. Use promo code F6P Pods to save 15%. All right, let's jump right into things. Do we see a bit of a shift in the offense, maybe a little bit more passing? They ranked 26th in the league as far as passing attempts last year. Do you see any difference in that this year, or just super run heavy like we saw last year?
Yeah, it's a good question because I think if you take a step back and look at it, right, you have Justin Herbert, right? We'll start there. An ultra talented quarterback, can make any throw. You would think having a player like that, it would be pass all the time, right? Lean into those strengths. But on the other side, you have Jim Harbaugh, and we know the way that he wants to build a team and win games, which is running the ball, playing good defense. So the Chargers are always trying to figure out how they can kind of mesh those two things together. I would say if we go back to last year for a minute, like you said, they ranked 26 in pass attempts. Some of that probably had to do with the fact that Herbert was banged up for a good portion of the year. He had that ankle injury in week 2, which limited him and really limited like the playbook, what they could kind of get into. He had more stuff he dealt with later in the year. But overall, the Chargers' run game was, I think it's fair to say, inconsistent last season too. So going into this year, I think he might have a few more pass attempts, but they still want to have a run-focused team. Because I think if you think about it, there's been years where Herbert has led the league and pass attempts have been high up there, right? But why is that? Because maybe the Chargers are trying to come back in games, right? They're trailing in the fourth quarter. That's not the formula that Harbaugh wants to employ here. It's, hey, let's run the ball, hit play action passes, which Justin can do, and then get a lead in the fourth quarter, play good defense, run the ball, win the game. So maybe his pass attempts go up a little bit, but I think the overall philosophy that Harbaugh wants of being kind of a tough-minded team is still going to hold true.
No, it makes sense, and I would agree. I'm not watching the team, but I would think that that's the way they would want to go. So in that running back room, they drafted Omarion Hampton, brought in Najee Harris, but of course he's still with that eye injury. Any insight you can give us onto that, and like just how? And then on the flip side, like how has Hampton looked? Basically, I would imagine leading the running back room in camp without Najee there.
Yeah, with Najee, there's really no update. He has been kind of working off to the side a little bit of late, kind of going through like individual drills, but he has not practiced at all this summer. Jim Harbaugh did not have an update yesterday, I think, when he was asked about him. But yeah, it's been Omarion Hampton as RB1 from day one of camp, and he's looked great. Sometimes you can't get like a true evaluation in camp because they're not tackling. The pads aren't on every day. But you can see the signs. He's got the body for it. He's got the shiftiness. He looks like an NFL back already in year one. He didn't play in the second preseason game last weekend against New Orleans, but he got a couple carries against the Lions in the Hall of Fame game, and you can kind of see already right away, like he made some people miss. He looked good. Good. I think even, when Najee comes back, it's still going to be a heavy dose of Omarion Hampton. So I'm not saying he's going to get all the carries. Like I think the days of being a bell cow running back, that's probably gone. But yeah, I would have him pretty high up there in terms of key pieces to the Chargers offense this year. And if Najee is not ready for the start of the year, then the question becomes, well, then who's sort of behind him?
Yeah.
And so right now there's probably a few guys in the mix. Kamani Vidal has looked pretty good. He's a second-year guy. Hassan Haskins was on the roster last year. He's a good special teamer. He can get like short yardage, kind of a tough back. But a name I'd maybe keep an eye on for the final couple of preseason games is Rocket Sanders. He was an undrafted free agent out of South Carolina, and he looked pretty good in the last preseason game against New Orleans. So a little bit of maybe lesser known names in the room after Omarion and obviously Najee, but it's been a pretty solid room so far in camp and the preseason.
Yeah, no, that's a great name pool there. I like to have that one in my back pocket for sure. Let's jump back over to the passing offense here, and of course, Ladd McConkey is the name that lots of people know, but everybody also knows Keenan Allen, and he's back. What is him returning due to Ladd McConkey? Who's going to be running more of the slot, and the outside role between those two? I would imagine they're kind of the two guys that are leading the charge right now.
Yeah. I say it's a good problem to have. Like, if you ask most teams, hey, do you want Ladd McConkey and Keenan Allen? Yeah. And I think the slot outside thing has maybe gotten like a little bit overblown. That was a question I had maybe a few weeks ago. But then once we've kind of seen it, Keenan's been back now for a week or a week and a half. And there's been times in practice where they've both been on the field. Sometimes, I would say most of the time, Ladd has been in the slot, and then Keenan kind of worked outside. But it's been a little bit the other way too.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say like that one can't do the other. So like it's not like Keenan can't play outside or Ladd can't play outside. I think they're just gonna have to go into probably each game on like a week by week basis of trying to figure out the best game plan. And if you have a lineup out there of Justin Herbert throwing to either Ladd or Keenan, like I said, it's a good problem to have. So yeah, I think that stuff will get figured out. Both guys seem pretty receptive, to kind of playing wherever. Ladd has already like picked Keenan's brain. Like, it's been awesome to see that. Like, every practice you see the two chatting, and Ladd, even after his great rookie year, is just trying to get better. So I think we're definitely happy to have both guys.
Do you see any reduced workload for Ladd? I know he got, once he got rolling last season, he saw a heavy dose. He saw a very heavy volume. Do you see that reducing with Keenan here?
No, I mean, if Ladd's open, Justin's going to throw him the ball. So like,
Okay.
no, I would say like the difference between this year and last year within the offense, I'd say, is more playmakers in terms of pass catchers. Like outside of Keenan and Ladd, obviously we still have Quentin Johnson, Darius Davis. People think of him as a returner. Like, he's flashed a little bit at wide receiver. And then we drafted the two rookies, Trey Harris in the second round and Keandre Lambert-Smith. Both of them have looked pretty solid in camp and preseason, especially KLS in that Hall of Fame game. He had that touchdown catch. And then even with the tight end room, we have Tyler Conklin. He's just a solid veteran. He'll give you 40, 50 catches a year. So I think maybe Ladd, maybe his numbers go down a little bit, but it's because Herbert is spreading the ball more around because he can. Like, there's more options for him to throw to this year, and that also includes Omarion Hampton out of the backfield too. So we should have a pretty good collection of people for Herbert to throw the ball to.
Yeah, I think you pretty much answered number 4, but I guess you mentioned all the receivers, but who's been the standout after Keenan and Ladd
at receiver?
Yeah.
You
can include the tight end too if you want.
Yeah. I mean, Keandre Lambert-Smith has looked good. I'll say that. For being a 5th round guy, he comes in, and Trey Harris is a 2nd round guy, so people maybe expect more from Trey Harris. And Trey's looked good. He's made his fair share of plays too, but KLS has just looked really good, especially in that preseason game. Like I said, he had a touchdown and kind of dust that cornerback off the line. Like I said, it's just kind of be a group effort, and that's what they need, because down the stretch last year, it was Ladd and not much else, especially in that Houston playoff loss. So they need everyone to help out Herbert.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so this is the question we ask everybody that comes on for their team. And is there a player who is flying under the radar, and you probably already mentioned him, who people don't really know about, that fantasy managers especially should just keep in their back pocket as far as like just keeping an eye on?
Yeah, I have not mentioned this guy on
Okay.
purpose. We're trying to keep him low key here.
I thought it was gonna be the KLS, but I was okay.
No. There's a rookie tight end who's going to make the team named Aronde Gadsden. He's a 5th round pick out of Syracuse.
Okay.
He's a converted receiver. He played wide receiver at Syracuse. He moved to tight end towards the end of his career. He has stood out since May, since OTAs and minicamp. We knew he was kind of a guy then, and he has continued that in camp. Like, he hasn't flashed as much in games the last 2 games, but in practice, it seems like he's making a great catch or a great play every single day. Touchdowns, catches all over the field. He's smooth. He's got a big frame, a big body. Obviously, being a former receiver. The big question with him is, like I said, Harbaugh wants a tough-minded team. It's like, how much can he block? That's obviously requires a lot, from a tight end. But Harbaugh kind of sung his praises a few weeks ago and said that he's willing to do it. He's able to do it. Sometimes you get these former receivers who don't want anything to do with blocking at tight end, and Aronde, or OG as we call him, has been the opposite.
Love it.
He's willing to stick his nose in there. He's had a few good blocks in camp. It's obviously going to be a work in progress for him. He's still a 5th round rookie, but I think he'll find a way to get on the field this year as a pass catcher, 3rd down guy. Like, he's the name I would definitely keep an eye on.
All right, sounds good. Might have to go out to my dynasty team and see if he's available. I knew who he was coming out of Syracuse, but a landing spot and just late round draft capital wasn't super into him. But hearing that, I might have to change my praises here for him. But all right, Eric, thank you for coming on. This was great. Obviously learned a lot. Before we let you go, just let everybody know what you got going on the season and where they can find you.
Yeah, so I work for the Chargers, so you can find all my work on chargers.com. And then I'm on Twitter, Eric_L_Smith. And looking forward to a good year. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, sounds good. All right, that's it for us. If you're still hanging around, the playlist will be popping up right here for all the rest of these videos that we've got out this season. So check them out, and we will see you next time.